Welcome to the JoContractor Show, a podcast created by three regular Joes. The JoContractor Show is a place where trade professionals, business owners, and homeowners looking for solid advice and amusement can hear stories of great success and great failure in the turbulent and unpredictable world of construction. On the JoContractor Show, we dig deep into the realm of remodeling and construction. We chat with construction trade professionals, business owners, and homeowners alike. We support local independent contractors and those who put their trust in the hands of these capable and hardworking business owners and tradespeople. We discuss construction and home maintenance from multiple angles, and we do it with compassion, purpose, and humor. Listen as Lori, Merrick, and Sam, along with a wide variety of guests, explore topics related to construction, home ownership, small business creation, and more. A quick reminder, don't forget to send your questions to questions@JoContractorshow.com. And after you've done that, please take a moment to hit the like button, subscribe, or talk about us tomorrow morning at the local coffee shop. We appreciate feedback and critique, and it lets us know that you're out there and that you care.
All right. Hi, Lori.
Sam, happy 2024.
Happy 2024. It's funny because we were just talking about how to start the show, and then we get right into our radio voices. But we have to. It's what we do. It's 2024. We're back. We took a little break around the holidays, which was nice. And this being one of our Construction Quickies, we've only got 15 minutes, and we try and hold ourselves to this. So we will just jump right into it.
Totally.
We'll put out a brief update somewhere else, but for this, let's just get right into our topic today.
Yeah, we got a good one for 15 minutes. I got the timer ready. Let's do it.
I'm watching. Okay, ice dams.
Ice dams.
We're in the upper Midwest.
Right around the corner. Everybody get ready because there's snow coming.
That's right. So, I'm knowledgeable enough about ice dams, but you've got all your building science stuff, and I think this is really something that you excel at. So
I can bore you to death.
I bet you could on this one. But let's just start from the viewpoint of a homeowner. Like we've talked a little bit when we talked about roofs, we talked about ice dams a little bit, and we talked about insulation, we talked about ice dams a little bit. But now that winter's coming up, this is very specific to ice dams. What are they?
Just make sure you get some heating electrical cords on top of that roof.
Is that? Do you mean it?
No, I do not mean it.
Okay, that's a joke.
It's a joke. So. It's a Band-Aid fix. And your shingles will not be warranted, and when they crack because it's like turning on a bath fan and never remembering to turn it off.
Right.
So people do that with those electric cords and that they put on the roof to melt the snow.
They turn them on and they just leave them.
They forget, and it's on all winter.
Right.
Even if you don't, it's still going to dry them out. You got to be really diligent about turning them on and off.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, and it's a Band-Aid. It's not the fix.
Can it be, could it be kind of a prophylactic? Like, could you put that up there? And if you were diligent about turning them on and off and knowing that it was something that is going to happen, like, could you get good at it so you don't do damage?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they can work.
Okay.
There's a reason for everything, but there's a human component too.
That's the other side. Like, if it's not automated,
right,
and if you're going to screw it up, that you're hurting your roof that way. Is what
I don't even know if there's an app for those right now. There probably will be, or if there is, or maybe there is one.
Yeah, I mean, so I know that my dad bought some mats that go on his sidewalk to keep the snow melted. I wonder if they, wouldn't help people to kind of come out with a more soft version of this that isn't just heated wire on your roof.
Right.
And those things tend to cause trouble. From what I've seen.
They do. So the real fix.
Okay. So, but what causes ice dams? Yeah. What are they specifically?
It is from heat, meaning cold fast, and it turns to ice.
Yes.
Water, and it's so cold outside that it's ice.
Yep.
And that's why you see it at the edge of your roof or on the valleys where there's more lumber and framing and no insulation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so my understanding of it is you've got this roof of yours that isn't terribly well insulated. There's heat in that attic space, and then it melts the snow up top, and it kind of trickles down the roof. And when it hits the cold eaves, right, it starts to dam up.
Yeah, that might be it too. But or it's right at the eaves, anyways. When the snow is sitting on there, you'll see the ice start to form right where the top plate meets the rafter.
Okay.
And there's no room in the old houses to put insulation in that spot.
Oh, sure.
So that's a huge area. And then it's also what you said at when it's in the attic. It can also start melting at the top and roll down.
Okay.
And form ice. Yeah.
Kind of underneath the snow or whatever on your roof. Yep.
Right.
And when that happens, and you get the big chunk of ice up there, and it starts to ice is tough because it expands and it kind of gets up under your shingles and.
Yep. And then you get water damage.
Okay. Then it gets into the house.
Yep.
Right?
It starts coming up and under the shingles or whatever. Finds its path of least resistance, of course.
Sure.
And the question is, well, then do you call you can call your insurance company. That you can do that, and and they'll pay for only the repair work of the water damage, not so that it doesn't happen again next year, which just pisses me off.
Oh, yeah, that seems like so they're not actually fixing the problem.
No,
they're just repairing the damage. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I'm a homeowner and I'm looking at this, and let's assume if you've been in your house for a long time, you realize you've got an old house that's prone to ice dams. Like, if that's the case, we'll take that scenario first. You've been in your house, you know that it's prone to it, because there's the other person who just bought an old house, like in Minneapolis, and doesn't know that that's going to happen. You know,
right.
And it tends to happen more on older homes, right? We've taken measures to make this less likely on newer homes.
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
Newer roofs.
More insulation.
Yep. So let's say we know that our home is prone to that. What are the first steps? Like, what are the things I do first if I'm 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into owning this house? Does it happen every year?
If there's no huge snow load, no, it's not going to happen. But if you're driving down the road and you can start looking at roofs in the winter, and you'll see the snow on a roof, and you can see every rafter because there's so much there's snow, and then you see the rafter, see the rafter, and you'll start to get an idea of what you're looking for
and why.
Yep. And then check your house out. It's like during a rainstorm, I'll say, go out in the rainstorm and look and see where, how's your house, where's the water falling, and you can see it best. So in the winter, what I'll say is take pictures you can't, do you want to fix it in the winter? Probably not. You can't. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah. So take pictures of everything so you can document it, so you can show a building scientist or contractor or somebody that show them what's going on, because that's when I would like to see it. So if they tell me about it, I can, and I can kind of guess, but I want to see, when it's happening.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of those types of issues. I know that happens with electrical and plumbing issues where people are like, but it always does this, but not when I'm around,
right.
And then I don't know what the problem is.
Right.
So, so older homes, many of the houses that are prone to pretty bad ice dams, they've been around for 100 years.
Right.
So how freaked out do you have to be if you're a homeowner?
Well, people do freak out.
That's what I've seen.
And the other thing is, if it's happening, the damage is done. If it's leaking and you're seeing it come in your house, I always tell people, I could do a fear factor business, but I don't. I'm
right.
Just, it's been happening. You don't want it to for this to happen for years.
Right.
So, but you do want to take care of it within that year. But, do you have to call the emergency contractor to come in? No.
Right. And if you do, you might get taken advantage of.
Yeah, well,
right?
totally.
Right.
Yeah.
What about ice dam removal companies?
This is another one you might get taken advantage of.
Okay. So you're not big on the ice dam removal companies?
There's reputable people out there that do it, but the one year that it was so bad.
I remember that year. Yeah.
It was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. We were going up and setting ladders and gently trying to get the ice off, and just with the hammers,
Sure.
whatever,
Yep.
chisels.
Yep.
But you could have hired an ice dam removal company for $500 an hour, and we were charging, I don't know, 50 at the time,
Sure.
something. And I'm like,
Not enough.
wait a minute. My sister just paid how much? Like $4,000 in a day.
Yeah.
And so there are people. It's a huge range, and in that situation, it was even hard to find people. And did you have to get it off right away? It was probably too late, anyways.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was like a fad that year.
It was. Other than there were some roofs that caved in.
Yeah, and it was really bad. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem was real,
Right.
But the number of people who like went out and bought themselves heated, power washers or whatever, and became ice dam professionals.
Right.
It blew up very quickly.
Yeah, it did.
So always a little bit of a red flag.
And what I would say to most people is, if you get ice dams, you're not sure, don't want to insulate yet, or it can be very expensive if you want to do it perfect and really not have any
Right.
ice dams. So get a roof rake, get the snow off regularly.
That was my next question. Oh. No, that's great. You led right into it. Yeah, I mean, does that work?
Yeah, just get it off. You've got heat loss, obviously, which is money and utilities,
Yep.
but it's been happening, and it happens all year long. And when you use your air conditioning too,
You're losing heat
You're
out
losing
that roof,
heat, no matter cooling.
Yeah.
So, but you don't want ice dams and water running through your house, right?
Right.
So at least get rid of the snow if you can, or are able, or have the neighbor kid.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a
roof rake.
Yeah, I've got a roof rake
Yeah.
with, it's a lightweight aluminum thing that's got 30 feet worth of pole or something, and I
Yeah.
can pull all the snow off my roof pretty quickly if I need to.
Yeah. You don't want to get up on your roof. That's the worst thing to do.
No.
Don't say I said that.
No, don't do it.
But you
it's
can
very
get
dangerous.
it from the ground, most of the story and a halves, which is where most of the problems is the story and a half.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
It does seem to be the story and a half.
Yep.
And that has to do with the amount of space for insulation in those roofs, right?
Right.
And just the way they were built.
And just awkward insulating, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I know my roof is, inadequately insulated.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, it was that same year. A quick little story here. I think I got time.
You got time? We're good.
We were going around getting ice and getting snow off as best as possible with our hammers and picks and trying. And be careful though; you don't want to hit your shingles.
No, you
can
don't want
wreck
to put a hole.
So,
Yeah.
and I was laying on the couch after a long, hard day of work, and thought, wow, those poor people that have ice dams, man. So glad that I don't have to deal with that. As I hear drip, 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 and it was leaking in the corner of it where I have an addition that's just an awkward area, similar to a valley.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I'm like, I'm going to remodel this room next year, anyways.
That's a good point for you homeowners listening. Water to a contractor is not as scary as it is to a homeowner. Like when we see water coming through a place, whether that's a burst pipe or roof, problems, or water from your gutters are backed up or ice dams or whatever, I'm always like, okay, listen, don't worry that much. It's as long as it's not constant, as long as it's not persistent over a long period of time, a single water event, you just have to fix the thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you do have to deal with it. The best case scenario is also the worst case scenario of your old leaky house that has no insulation and it's leaking. It's going to dry out. There's no insulation.
That's right. That's right. It breathes well enough to allow it to dry out.
Right.
Yeah, I think I think people get taken advantage of sometimes because of that fear. So they see the water, they think the world's ending and their house is in real trouble, and I think people assume that rot happens a lot faster than it does.
Yeah.
There have been things that I look at and I'm like, oh, that's rotting. And then, 10 years later, like, still rotting slowly. But ice dams are, okay, so we'll wrap up here with what is the true fix? Like, what do people do if they really want to get through with it? I know we've done a show on insulation, and I think you should check that one out if this is a problem. But in a brief synopsis here, what would you do?
Well, it depends on the type of house. But if you have a 2-story house, you can add more. We call it the lid. You're in your attic. Fill it up with R50. Get 30 to 50
additional
cellulose or fiberglass, blown, not bats.
Yep.
And just fill it up. And you want venting in there too. So your soffit and your peak, or maybe you'll have a
ridge vent.
Ridge vent. There we go. And a soffit vent. And then you'll need some baffles in between, which is an air chute, basically, that then air flows. So you're just trying to get airflow so that condensation doesn't happen, because you can have a lot of insulation and then you've got condensation and rotting up your roof sheathing from the inside. And the nails have frost on them.
Everything's...
So you need, so the hot and cold are still meeting, but they need to meet gently and slowly and circulate air.
Yep. Air circulation is good.
So then so that works. On a 1.5-story house, it's really hard. There's not a lot you can do. Here's a perfect situation is demo the inside, spray foam it, maybe put some Thermax on if you have headroom, maybe 1 inch of Thermax, and then go onto the outside. So you could stay there and just do that, and it's going to help quite a bit. And then now if you want to go to super insulated roof system that you won't have any problems with, you go to the roof. If you need a new roof, it's a good time to do it. Take off the shingles and add 2 to 4 inches of foam on the top. And put some fur strips or 1x4s or strapping of some sort. And then you've got airflow in between there too. You get
thermal break with an airflow.
And then you put your plywood on it and whatever roof material you want. And you've got a huge fascia board. Now, because it's tall, because you've just lifted your roof up higher. So that's super expensive to do both of those things, but it's a perfect. It works. We've had clients call us and say, we have no issues, and it's so comfortable. It's cold in the summer and hot in the winter.
That's right.
So there's options.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're looking at that, that's a long-term investment. It's super expensive is relative,
right?
Right? Like. But that is the fix, and that is the way to the roof is like so important to the longevity of a house.
Right.
That is, if you want the house to last and you want that problem to stop, that's it. Right.
Skip the sexy kitchen.
Right. Well, we'll talk about that on the next one. All right. Well, I think we've given people at least an understanding of what they're looking at with ice dams. So.
Good luck.
Yeah. Happy winter. Good luck, as she says. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to another amazing episode of the most important show out there. Before we go, we want to thank you again for supporting us and for all the lovely things you say about us on social media. Shows like this grow with help from people like you. And remember, keep sending us your questions. We really appreciate the stories and the great insights we gain from our audience. We also want to remind you that you can buy shirts, hats, and more at JoContractorShow.com. Be good to each other, and we'll catch you on the next show.